Evil Squid Comics Podcast. We are part of the Collector's Maze Network.
Don.
Scott.
Andrew. All right, so this is Joe Hill's The Cape, Omnibus.
Yes.
So I think this was actually like a short story in like a short story collection that Joe Hill wrote, and they turned it into a comic book.
Okay.
Because it says Joe Hill's, but he didn't actually write it. It's based on his story.
Yes, I noticed that too, which I thought was interesting there at first, where I was like, oh, Joe Hill, okay. And then go, okay, it's a idea, but some other guy wrote it.
So the first series is basically the main chunk of the story. I think it's what's based on the short story.
It's kind of like the, what would you say, the
meat?
Well, not the meat, but it's origin story, almost in some ways.
No, I feel it's the main story.
Do you just feel it's the main story in general?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it the origin story. I'd call it just the story.
Okay.
But that's just me.
I see that.
That's fair.
Okay.
But anyway, so the idea is there's this kid, and when he's like, him and his brother are playing superheroes when they're a kid, he falls and gets hurt, and he's wearing like a cape, and when he falls from this tree, and it seems like for a second the cape is almost like levitating or whatever, you know. Anyway, after that happens, this accident, the kid becomes kind of like a waste of space, and his older brother becomes like the good son, and he's like the bad son, you know. And so they kind of do a fast forward through his life, and he's basically just a basic screw up or whatever, you know. And he really wants his cape back, but his mom got rid of it, supposedly. But somehow he finds it. His mom did not get rid of it. And it turns out it really does let him fly.
Huh.
So he basically finds this cape from him when he was a kid, and he can fly now. The problem is that his life has kind of gone to shit, and his brother's isn't, and he's kind of got a lot of pent-up aggression and anger towards a lot of people in his life. Yeah. And so it's kind of like...
He's not exactly sure how he should take that out either, you know. He's not very healthy at all.
No, he's not mentally healthy. And so...
And that's one of the things, too, from his fall that he had, you know, with it way back as a kid. I mean, it was a lot of recuperation time, the way that it kind of sounds, to a point. And I don't know even if he was there all mentally in the first place anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, he's a troubled guy, and instead of using this cool new cape for good, he decides to use it to basically get revenge on all the people who have wronged him in life, which is his ex-girlfriend,
his brother,
his mom, his brother. So basically all the people kind of close to him.
Anybody that takes their side.
Yeah. So it becomes kind of one of those dark sort of evil superhero stories, you know, kind of thing. It's kind of interesting because he finds some interesting ways to kill people with just the ability to fly.
Yeah, with just a flying ability. He likes to take people up and drop them.
That's his main motive.
That is his
but then he starts picking stuff up and dropping stuff on people.
That's true, too.
Like, there's some cops who are after him, and he drops, he picks up, like, a bear from, like, the wilderness and drops in, like, the cop's car.
Yeah. I'm like, wow, that was pretty impressive.
The bear's heavy, though.
I know. It doesn't quite explain
you
that.
You have to,
super strength?
He doesn't say that he has super strength.
The only thing I could think is, like, the cape makes him and anything he's carrying light as well. So So
maybe. They don't explain it, though.
So by the end of the first series, it's pretty much over. That's why I'm saying that's the main story.
So you could say that it's just the story. Yeah. I could definitely see that.
Now, the second series is called The Cape 1969. And this is about the origin of the cape. Turns out his dad was over in, like, I think Vietnam. Some war. I think it was Vietnam.
69 on something.
Yeah. And his dad somehow ran into some, like, native guy who gave him these powers, and his dad somehow imbued those powers on this piece of fabric that then got sent back for his kid. So it's basically just the origin story of the dad in Vietnam, and then
and kind of the origin story of the cape. Yeah, and why the cape is a little bit superpowered.
Correct.
Because of the fact that it got this, you know, mumbo jumbo, whatever, you know, shaman that blessed this guy's freaking uniform or whatever and things, and then that piece of uniform got put on this cape, and now it's got the superpowers.
But the problem with that story is, like, I mean, I don't think I need 5 issues to explain that this cape came from his dad in Vietnam and all this stuff. It felt really dragged out to me and not really necessary. And the artist changed. It wasn't Zach Howard. It was somebody, Nelson Daniel.
Okay. Well, it is a
who
prequel.
I don't think is as good.
It is. We did establish that prequels aren't as good.
Yeah. And it just didn't do much for me, honestly. Now, in the third series...
See, I think I kind of liked it, though, because of the fact that at least the guy wasn't a total douche like the first story. You know?
That's fair.
So,
anyway, so...
Give me somebody to root for. You know?
Yeah, there you go. Well, the third story, it's not a prequel. It's not a sequel. It's an interlude.
Huh.
So it's like takes place during the middle of the first story, but it's like a little side story that when he had the cape and what he did one night with it. And so it turns out that he went to this old cabin that they used to go when they were kids. And when he
I
gets
totally
there,
forgot about this story.
when he gets there, there's a bunch of LARPers there. Do you know what LARPers are?
Mm-hmm.
Live action role players, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a bunch of LARPers there, and some of them he went to high school with. So of course he has some, because these kids made fun of him when he was injured.
Well, at least one of these kids. made
Yeah,
fun
so
of
he's
him
got
when he
some
was-
pent up aggression
yeah.
towards these kids. But
So-
it turns out, though, he actually joins them in LARPing and enjoys it and actually starts bonding with them a little bit.
Before he
Except,
kills them.
well, except he's kind of dysfunctional as a person and he fucks it up and makes them kind of hate him. And then
Then he has to kill him.
he has to kill him.
Yeah.
Correct. Well, he messes it up, and then they catch him with the cape, like because he's not very good at hiding it or whatever. And they see him. He's like, "Well, you saw me. Now I got to kill you." And so he
Yeah.
starts basically taking him out at first, like secretively, and then he's like, jig's up. I'm just gonna hunt you guys down and kill you. And so then it becomes almost like a
It's like Hunger Games.
yeah, it almost becomes like a horror
But
story.
It
at
feels
that
like
point.
a cabin in the woods horror story.
Yeah, which isn't bad. It's got cool art because Zach Howard does it, and I mean it's pretty decent. It's just another one. It's like an interlude. It doesn't really do
Well, it's
anything
all
new
kind
or
of
different.
self-contained. It's pretty damn short.
It is
so.
pretty short and it's self-contained, but it was entertaining. But I mean, like I said, it's in between parts of the first one. That's why I said the first one's kind of like the whole story.
It really
Other
is,
stuff is just
yeah,
kind of adding a
yeah,
prequel
you're
and
right.
an interlude.
You're right.
But overall, it's pretty entertaining. The art's really cool.
I just kind of went with
think-
the first one being an origin because there was the other two stories with it, and it seemed like they could even do more in a lot of ways too. With
But they
it, because
didn't
he
do
did,
more.
Because he did. It's not like he did. He well, hold on. Did he die at the end of the?
I'm not
first
going to
one?
spoil it, but I don't remember either.
Yeah,
but
now that
I think it's
about
pretty
it.
final at the end.
But
to be
you're
honest.
right. I'm thinking there is a kind of a finality.
Yeah, it
with
doesn't
that.
feel like it needs a sequel.
Yeah. So you're
So-
probably right there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Overall, it was all right.
It was pretty enjoyable.
I think
enjoyed it.
in some ways, though, I didn't like it as much just because I didn't. Maybe my expectations, I think, were a little different. Oh, the cape, okay, whatever. Joe Hill, and then I'm reading it, and it's just about damn dude with superpowers that's an asshole.
Yeah.
So
So-
nobody's really to root for, which that
Yeah.
always takes things down a notch to me a little bit. Then I'm just like this watcher, on the wall, going, okay, yeah, this I can't do anything about it, and just more bad shit's gonna happen because this guy's an ass.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's super dark. And I know we'd had dark type of superhero stories before, and I think this was still when there weren't as many, and so it was a little more interesting, but I think this has been done to death a little bit, but it's still pretty interesting.
in some ways,
and
you're
I think
right.
it's well done for what it is. I think
yes.
it would have been really good if we hadn't had the second and third one. Not that they were bad, but they just were, they took the concept and just fleshed it out in a way that didn't add a whole lot to it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I would definitely agree with that.